Hi everyone, hope you all are doing really well. So I know it's a long video, like after a long time I'm making this video. I was a little unwell, but now starting it with Selenium interview question series. So I think the market is up now. So you will get a calls and what all most important questions on Selenium. I'll be coming up with the video part 1, part 2, and we'll cover some of the important topics of Selenium interview questions and answer. So, what is Selenium? Selenium is a robot test automation suite that is used for automating web-based applications. It supports multiple browser and programming languages and platform. So, because these are the standard definitions which you have to explain in terms of interview, you cannot just there's a standard definitions which interviewer expecting you to give. So what are the different forms of Selenium, which is Selenium WebDriver, Selenium ID, Selenium RC, and Selenium Grid. You also should be knowing the latest version of Selenium is I think 4.21. So with some of the latest features, please go ahead and check it out. Earlier it was 4.19, so most of the projects are using 4.19. So you can also say that you will be, it's advanced versions of all those things, but I think the Selenium 4 which is coming with Selenium Grid, which has the latest version is 4.20 22, sorry. So we have these are the different forms of Selenium. What are the advantages of Selenium? Selenium is open source, free to use without any licensing cost. It supports multiple languages like Java, Ruby, Python, etc. It supports multi-browser testing. It has good amount of resource helping community over the internet. Using Selenium ID component, non-programmers can also write the automation scripts. Using Selenium Grid component, distributed testing can be carried out on a remote machine and possible. So how in the Selenium Grid testing happens? We have multiple nodes and we have one hub, so we can run multiple scripts in that node. We can have multiple VMs. In the VMs we will create, in the VMs basically what happens is there is a container, there's a Docker, there's a container, and in the virtual machines you can have your application installed for that particular time, and you can run your different browsers and in multiple browser or multiple thread kind of that. Like in one hub, it is where multiple nodes are connecting and multiple tests can be run into multiple nodes. So that is how Selenium Grid has been configured. So, and you also know that is open source, or you should be knowing it should support multiple languages, so that if the person is Java, Python, C++, they can work on that. Okay, what are some limitations? So it cannot test a desktop application using Selenium. We cannot test web services using Selenium. For creating robust script in Selenium, WebDriver programming language is required. We are relying on libraries like the login or the reporting is different, right? So, and for the access and also, so you need APM, right? So which all browser drivers are supported by Selenium, right? WebDriver. So, and okay, it's like Google Chrome, Firefox, Internet Explorer, Safari, HTML unit. So HTML unit driver is for the headless mode, so that you really need to know. Okay, like we'll be asking that question into the interview. And then Android, iOS. Okay, so can we test APIs or web services using Selenium driver? No. Selenium WebDriver uses browser native method to automate the web application. Since web services are headless, so we cannot automate web services using Selenium WebDriver. So basically Selenium WebDriver is not there. We can use REST Assured for the API. Or there are testing times supported by the Selenium. Selenium WebDriver can be used for performing automation, functional, and the regression tests. And what are the various way of locating an element in Selenium? It's ID, XPath, CSS selector, class name, tag name, link test, partial index. You should also know how to write the XPath. So practice it. I think I had a video with writing the XPath, so you can practice it. XPath or XML path. What is XPath? Okay, so I'm going a little fast because it's like one liner questions and I wanted to cover more. There are more questions. If I'll go one liner aram say, so you won't be able to. It's just kind of revision in this video. You can do it. So XPath or XML path is a query language for selecting nodes for XML document. XPath is one of the locators supported by Selenium WebDriver. Then what is absolute path? Absolute path is like running from from the node from the starting node to the destination node. That is the only answer you should go. Like it should navigate the entire HTML path from starting node to the destination node. Whereas an relative XPath is like from the relative XPath to the destination node. the driver used to travel. You can also give the example like from the starting diff to the the destination diff, and it's like relative diff or relative branch to the destination node. What is the difference between single slash or double slash? Single slash represent relative XPath, whereas double X slash represent relative XPath. For single slash absolute XPath, which XPath will you use? So which is first for relative XPath, okay? And there's one more question like which locators is the fastest? So ID is the fastest locator because ID is like directly by dot ID you can use it and you can directly navigate. If at all, if ID there are multiple IDs with the same name, then you can have the XPath. And even though like we have the dynamic elements, right? So relative XPath is always preferred rather than absolute. So what is the difference between absolute and the relative? As I already told, how we inspect the web element attributes in order to use them in different locators. Using CrowPath or developer tools, you can inspect an element. So you just right click or click on F12. You just navigate to inspect an element. CrowPath is a plugin. You can also have XPaths, CSS selectors. From the automation perspective, right click on the page, inspect element is used specifically for the inspecting elements in order to use the attributes like ID, class, name, etc. in different locators. So how can we locate an element? By only partially matching its attribute only in the XPath. So you can use contains key. So contains key is like partially matching the attributes value. This is particularly helping in the scenarios where the attributes have dynamic value. So when you have dynamic value, you can use contains keyword. Okay, how can we locate an element using their text in the past? So text method can be used. Okay, contains text. Okay, how can we move to the nth element using XPath? So you can put div position equals to 3 will find the third element. Okay, or for example, or nth whatever position you want to. What is the syntax of finding elements by using class by using CSS selector? By dot class name we can select all the element belonging to the particular class. Input text will select all the elements having class input text. What is the syntax of finding element by using CSS selector? Finding element by ID using CSS selector. So by ID value we can select all the elements belonging to the particular ID. Example, U1 will select the ID having ID U1. Okay, how can we select elements by the attribute? By using CSS selector. Attribute equals to value, we can select all the elements belonging to the particular attribute. Example, type equals to radio. So if you wanted to have a radio button, you can have, so it will give you all the values. So select the elements having the attribute type value equals to radio. So what if you are find the first matching node, it will give you. Okay, if you're putting find elements, so if you're giving find elements and you have a multiple type equals to radio, so it will give you the list of all the like set of string, the address of everything. Okay, address of all the values which is matching. What is the fundamental difference between XPath and CSS selector? So the fundamental difference between XPath and the select CSS selector is using XPath we can traverse up to the document, and that is we can move to parent elements, whereas using CSS selector we can only move downwards in the documents. Okay, you see the attributes, right? How can we launch different browser in a Selenium WebDriver? By creating the instance, like we'll write the WebDriver driver, right? So WebDriver, from the WebDriver driver you can create an instance of any of the browser. You can launch any of the browser by creating the instance of WebDriver. Okay, what is the use of get URL and difference between them? Also driver.navigate.to URL. So commands are used to navigate to the URL. Both the command are used to navigate to the URL. Okay, so and URL passes a parameter, so there is no difference. Only navigate command can be used for forward, backward and refresh also, right? So we can use navigate command for multiple purposes as well. How can we type a text in the text box element using Selenium? So web element search, like for example text, you have to write by dot ID and you can use send keys for putting the text. For example, there is a search text box and you can search find an element, driver dot find element, you just reach to that element by using by.id search, and then you have created a variable name called search text box, and by using that search text, now from, if you see, okay, the value of this one goes on search text box now. So in the search text box dot send keys, you can add search terms, like search term can be written on the search box. How can we clear a text written in a text box? You can use dot clear dot method. So driver dot find element by dot id, element locator, and then dot clear. How to check a checkbox in a Selenium? The same click method used for clicking buttons or the radio buttons can be used for clicking the checkbox as well. Can we use submit in submit a form from Selenium? You just have to click on submit. Dot submit method is there. So driver dot find dot element by dot id dot submit method can be used, and also the click method can be used for the same purpose. Explain the difference between close and the quit command. Driver dot close used to close the current browser having focus. Driver dot quit used to close all the browser instances. Now, how to switch between multiple windows in Selenium? So Selenium has, like, you will be having driver, like if you work with multiple windows, you can have driver dot get window handles. So driver dot get window handles. So you can see get window handles and driver dot switch to dot window handle name. So by using get window handles, you'll be having a list of all the windows and which window you want to go. Your driver dot switch to dot window handle name you can go. So command to work with multiple windows. The driver get handles command return a list of IDs corresponding to each windows, and on passing a particular window handle to driver dot switch to dot window handle name command, we can switch control focus to the particular window. Or if you want to traverse, you can create a for loop for that, and then get window handles driver dot switch to, so it will traverse to multiple windows. So driver, like, you can create a for loop and you can navigate to every window. What is the difference between driver dot get window handles and driver dot get window handles in Selenium? So get window handles return a handle of a current page, whereas get window handles return a set of handles of all the pages. So you will get a set means you will get a unique ID for all the, because here the collections has been introduced. Okay, so here you will be using a concept of collections, because you will be getting a unique list of sets, like set of unique list. Okay, how can we move to the particular frame in Selenium? Like, you can use switch to command, and iframes and frames are the same. Okay, then switch to dot frame, you can pass a frame index, frame dot id, frame id, or frame name. Frame index is being started with 0, so you can get the frame tag from the HTML node, and from the HTML, like where you inspect an element, right, you will see whether it is coming under any frame or anything. You can navigate a frame also. So how can we move back and forward in, as I said about navigate dot back and navigate dot forward commands, we can move backward and forward in a browser. Is there any way to refresh browser using Selenium? Driver dot navigate dot refresh command, or also you can use send keys keys F5. So you can send a key and value, so key is F5. Send keys also you can do for the refresh. How can we fetch a text written over an element? You can have a get text method. How can we find the values of different attributes like name, class, value of an element? So get attribute, you can have an attribute name method. We can find the value of different attributes. How to delete cookies in Selenium? Delete all cookies can be used, or driver dot manage dot delete all cookies. That is how you have to write, like how you gonna delete all cookies method can be used, but how you write it? Driver dot manage dot delete cookies. What is implicit wait? Wait is always asking question. Okay, it's a very important question. An implicit wait is a type of wait which waits for a specific time while locating an element before throwing no such elements. By default, Selenium tries to find element immediately when required without any wait. So it's good to use implicit wait. The wait apply to all the elements of the current driver instances. So implicit wait is also an example of your overloading. Okay, so you can have like if you ask someone ask you like what oops concept you have used, so implement implicit wait is a, here you will use the concept of overloading as well, because same method name but you can have a different parameters of times, right? You can have seconds, you can have hours, whereas in explicit wait you cannot have. Okay, in explicit wait you can only use seconds. Okay, but like I'm telling you two different concepts here. First of all, in the implicit wait you, if you someone asks you the overloading example, implicit wait is a method overloading, whereas you can change the time unit. You can have same method name but you can have multiple time units, like different parameters. Method names are same and different parameters, so this is called method overloading. And then again there is another concept difference between implicit and explicit wait. So implicit wait can have seconds, hour, but whereas explicit wait only have seconds. So these are two concepts. Okay, so and also there's a difference between explicit and implicit wait. Implicit waits throws no such element exceptions, wherein explicit waits throw timeout exception. So okay, now we'll go to the explicit wait. Is a type of wait which applied to the particular web element until the expected condition specified is made. WebDriver wait equals to new driver 10 expected condition, and it will also see. That's the reason I wanted. I can share you the slide, but there are a lot of knowledgeable thing I'll share while reading it out. So you will get, I think you will get 2-3 slides knowledge in a one slide go, right? Anyways, you guys are reading it, read it with me. So read, you guys are, if I'll be sharing it with you, what you will do, you will also read it, right? So why don't you read it through YouTube? I'm putting everything, I'm sharing a lot of things here, right? So I request you to kindly go through my video so that you will get a basic details of the things which I'm gonna share it while traversing through the documents or a slide. What are some expected conditions that can be used in explicit way? So element to be clickable, web element or bilocator, visibility of element located by dot locator, attribute contains, alert is present, title contains, title is text to be present, element located. What is fluent wait? This it's like a polling interval. Is a type of wait in which we can specify the polling intervals. Okay, after which driver will start finding will find out the elements along with the maximum timeout value. With the maximum timeout value, you will set a, like you have set the, like after that polling interval only it will figure out the value. So how you get right? Polling every durations, ignoring no such element class. Okay, wait dot new function web driver elements, like that you said web element by dot xpath if text is displayed written text, else written null. Keyboard what are the different keyboard operations that can be performed in Selenium? Send dot keys, press key, release keys, these all things. Okay, what are the different type of mouse actions that can be performed? Click, double click, move to element, context click, drag and drop. Okay, how it is be? It is like dot perform, dot build, dot perform. Okay, that is also they'll be asking. Write the code to double click an element, like here, right? For the double click for the mouse element you will be using action class. So action class are always used for the mouse elements, so it's not only for double class. Like here it is like action dot double click, you will pass an element dot build dot perform. This line you just remember, dot perform dot build nahi hai, it's like dot build dot perform. Then again for the right click is always the question, it's a context click, but it's many times many people has asked me, is a context click, action dot context click dot build dot perform. Then mouse over, move to element, build dot perform. Okay, then drag and drop also I'll be telling you drag and drop. So use action dot drag and drop, then source and the target dot build dot perform. Okay, how to fetch the current URL in Selenium? Get current URL. How to fetch title of the page in Selenium? Driver dot get title. 1 second. And then how to fetch the page source in an element? Get page source. How to verify tooltip text using Selenium? So you can use get attribute title. How to locate a link using its Selenium, its text by dot link, by dot partial link, you can pass it, right? What are desired capabilities in Selenium? Desired capabilities are the set of key and value pairs that are used for storing and configuring browser specific properties like its version, platform, etc. in the browser instances. How can we find all the links on a web page? So href or anchor tag has been used, right? So you can figure out like all the links, right? Drive here you will use driver dot find dot elements by tag name, and you can use a as a reference, a to list of links. So you here also you will use the collection concept, so you'll use the list links, and then you will get the driver dot, so it will store all the links are stored in link, and you can find it out. So here also you how you find the broken link also, here let's understand that also. So in this concept you will get all the links, okay, and then you have to iterate through these links and check whether what all, like you can hit that you can iterate through these links and check the response of all the links, okay, all the links response. So if it is broken, it will get 400 series. If it is giving 200, it is the same, the links are hitting, right, hitting in the same URL. You can pass the same URL and hit those um, links, same URL, okay. In the postman you will be having all those URL, or in the code also it will iterate, okay, same URL it will take, whatever URL you are using it, you can have the origin set, and then whatever it is required you can set it, and then iterate through the links. And if the links are giving you the 400, it is broken, or if it is giving you 200 and the links are not broken. What are commonly encountered exceptions? Recently that question has been asked in an interview, like no such element exception, element not visible exceptions, no alert present exceptions, no such frame exceptions, timeout exceptions, invalid exceptions, no such attribute exception, WebDriver exceptions. How can we create a screenshots in Selenium? So screenshot, for the screenshots we will use take screenshots as interface, and from that interface take a screenshot is an interface, and we will use get a screenshot as method from taking screenshots, and then you can take it and then use the dot copy file method, and you can pass this the source file and the new file where you have to store, path of the file where you have to store. How do you see this? Again the same question, as I said, right, I'll be telling you the detail of it, and that's how in now interviewer are expecting what more you know about it, apart from the things which is already there in the Google, but what as an experienced person, what detailings you know about Selenium. So how to handle drop down in Selenium? Select drop down, like select class has been used. Using select class you will use select by visible text, select by index, select by value. Now how to check which option is in the drop down is selected? So using is selected can be used to check. If now again how to check the element is getting displayed on a web page, is displayed method can be used. There are a lot of methods I'm discussing about. So when somebody asks what all method you have encountered in Selenium, so these are the methods: is selected, is displayed, is enabled. Here also how we check if the interaction on the web page, the element interaction of the element is enabled for interaction of web page is enabled. So what these are the method: find elements. These are the method. Difference between find element and the 5 elements command, that is also a good question, interview questions. So return a single web element, okay, whereas find element return a single element, whereas find elements return a list of all the value elements, again the list of all the matching elements list. Again the here collection is represent. So when when the element doesn't found, that is also difference, like this is major difference. When element doesn't found in the find element is like no such element exceptions, and then find element will return a list of 0 elements. Implicit and explicit wait, again if the element is not found, as I said, right. Okay, so driver then again there's a difference between implicit and explicit, but if you put the implicit wait, it is a driver wait, it will apply to the all the elements, whereas if you put the explicit wait, it will apply to the particular element only. How can we handle window UI element and window pop-ups using Selenium? Selenium is used for automating web-based application or browser only. For handling window or GUI elements, you can use Auto IT or Sickly. What is Robot API? So Robot API is used for handling keyboard or mouse events. It's generally used to upload files. So the robot file. How do you upload in Selenium? File upload can be performed in multiple ways using send keys. You can use send keys using Robot API, using Auto IT, using Selenium. How to handle HTTPS website in Selenium? How to accept SSL trusted connections? Using profiles in Firefox, we can handle accept SSL trusted certificate. Profiles are basically set of user preferences stored in a file. Firefox profile, you can set a profile. You can also set a desired capabilities for that. As we said, like key and values, we can set that, and you can also add some of the set capabilities. You can add like order capabilities can be added. Desired capabilities dot set capabilities method can be used. Set capabilities, set properties can be used. Here it is a drag and drop, or we can also use dot click and hold method. For drag and drop, you can also use act dot how to do drag and drop. First I have already explained. Second one is act dot click and hold source element dot move to element target element dot release dot build dot perform. Okay, now how to execute now JavaScript, we can discuss it into the next topic. Until then, we have already covered 67 questions. I think we are good. I don't have that thank you slides. Maybe in the next part we'll have more videos. If you like this video, I'll have the second part. If I'll have more views on this video, I'll definitely have a second part. So support this video, and yeah, I think please watch out the videos. I think I've shared a lot of informations while explaining that is not present in the slide, or yeah, so I think that will really help you guys. Thank you. Bye bye, all the best.